visionary. He's a dreamer. He's expanded my mind, and I'm older than he is. But I'm excited to see and hear what 2021 is, and bring Mr. Blake Goat up.
Check. There we go. Can we get Josh a round of applause, everybody? Woo! That was awesome. It's the best introduction I've had all day. A lot of you will get that later. Okay, cool. Dish. Y'all having a good day today? Let me rephrase that. Are y'all having an awesome day today? Here at G5, we say we're awesome, and here at G5, we like to be responsive. I need y'all to be excited as I am. Can y'all be excited as I am today? Okay, so when we're up here talking, I need y'all to talk back to me. Can we do that? Because if you don't talk back to me, it's kind of hard to be up here and talk. You know how that is? You're talking to somebody, you feel like you don't get a response out of somebody. You're like, are they even listening to me? Like, how does that work? But here at G5, we like to have fun. How many of you like to have fun? So I always like to tell a little joke or like something just to get people, like the ice broke. Have you ever heard of that line? To get the, break the ice? So I heard this great one the other day about this guy that called 911. And the 911 operator answered and said, excuse me, yeah, this is 911, what's your emergency? And the guy goes, well, my wife is in labor and I don't know what to do. And the guy, the 911 operator goes, is this her firstborn? And the husband goes, no, this is her husband. A lot of you will get that later. But I love the innocence of that. No, in the moment. How many of you like to be in the moment? In the moment is amazing. Well, we've all had a crazy year last year. How many of you know that it was crazy? But here at G5, we think crazy is a good thing. Because we turn crazy into amazing. And this year, you'll catch that. I didn't see y'all until last year, so it was kind of cool. But I want to break the word year down. Year. Y-E-A-R. Because how many of you know this year is a new year for all of us? 2020, I agree, was a little bit of a random one. But how many of you know we're going to take what we learned from last year and make it into a better one this year? Right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, with the first one I'm going to break down here is the why. And I love this. Is how many of you met somebody in your life that they've tried to be somebody else? Like they've tried to be like, oh, I don't want to be me, I want to be them. Or I want to look up, they look up to somebody and they try to imitate everything that other person does. Right? Well, here's what I've always said, and I love this, is in the why, is I want y'all to be you. I want you to be you. And how many of you know being you is one of the most important things you can do? And here's what I've learned is people are like, well, I don't want to be me because sometimes I'm not the greatest. Well, here's what I've learned is when you be you, you learn how not to be you. That's pretty crazy if you think about it. And here's what I've learned is over the years, when you learn to be you, you grow even more. And here's one of the things I want to encourage you. In 2021, I want you all to be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable in your own skin. Because I know so many people that they look up to the wrong people and they try to imitate them and be just like them. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do everything that person does. And sometimes those people aren't the greatest to look up to. And what I'm saying being you is also, I want you all to make sure you pick the right role models to look up to. Role models. I think I got one of the greatest role models in my father that I could ever want, right? And he agrees with me. He'll tell you. But be you. I've met, and again, I'm going to keep repeating this all throughout this talk, but every day I meet people that try not to be themselves. And what I learned is when you're not yourself, you're not who God truly called you to be. Guys, that's bigger than you're letting me know. Because how many of you know who God called you to be is who ultimately you need to be to help change the world? And I know this is a leadership message, the talk, and this is a leadership session, but how many know that I believe the greatest leader of all time was God? Hands down. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And the E, I want to go on, I'm going to get a little bit quicker here so I can get my father up here, but the E is be an encourager. Be an encourager. I believe God and Jesus was the greatest encourager you could ever have met. And what blows my mind is Jesus' ministry was only 3 years. And I believe he's had the biggest impact in the entire world. But be an encourager. I have so many people how many of you know who Eeyore is? Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? Okay? I'm so lonely. But how many of you know that there's so many Eeyores in this world that I want them to be Tiggers? I love Tigger. The wonderful thing about Tigger is I'm the only one. Hey. Okay, but you know what I mean? What I love about Tigger is Tigger knows who he is. He's being himself. He's just having fun, letting loose. And how many of you know his excitement is contagious? And what he doesn't know is just him being excited is an encouragement to other people. And it's an animated show, people. It's animated. And I love animation. It's awesome. But I had the privilege to meet the guy that voiced Tigger. And Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore. He voiced all three of them. And I said, in your opinion, what was your favorite to voice? And he said, I loved all three because it showed me how to deal with different people. I said, I said, can you do mind explaining that to me? He goes, because I've come across so many people at these conventions that are Eeyores, that are Winnie the Pooh, and that are Tiggers. They all act just like him. And I said, that is so crazy. And I said, in your opinion, though, how did you connect with those people? You know, how did you do that? He goes, what I realized is those people that were the Eeyores, the Winnie the Poohs, and the Tiggers needed the other two characters to get through life. And I said, how did you, like, what was the one you used most to help people out? He said, it was Tigger. He says, because Tigger, I could do the Tigger voice, and instantly their whole DNA changed. They would just smile and grin, and they'd see me walking through the convention floor, and they'd just smile and point and laugh. Because I was just being excited. And I've had so many people in life, just because I smiled and said hi, and that was an encouragement to them. Just because I smiled and waved. So what I want to encourage y'all is just be an encourager. And what y'all don't understand, you're thinking, I got to know I got to read so many books. There's nothing wrong with reading books. I encourage you to read books. I highly recommend it. But one of the things I've learned is just smiling is an encouragement in itself. Smiling. When you're at a restaurant, when you're at a store, when you're out in public, at the grocery store, just smile and read the person's name tag. And if they don't have a name tag on, ask them what their name is. You would have no idea how many people love it when somebody recognizes and asks who their name is. We had this lady one time, we asked, excuse me, man, is that your name on your name tag? It was so small you couldn't read it. She goes, no, this is actually not my name. They just gave me the name tag because they didn't have my name printed yet. So how do you know when you ask her that question, she gets to tell you the story about how she gets her new name tag? And that changed her whole entire day. Just because I was willing to encourage her and go, hey, what's your name? How long you worked here? You live here long? Asking simple questions can be an encouragement. I'm going to go to the next one. The A is appreciation. How many of you know that last year was a challenge? But I appreciate it. And you're thinking, dude, you're crazy. And yes, I am. And I appreciate it. Because how many of you know I can take stuff that I learned in those struggles and put them towards goals that are going to change my life? And I love the quote that Mother Teresa said. And if you don't know who that is, I'd encourage you to look her up. She's kind of a big deal from what I've heard, You'll all get that later. But I love this quote. It simply says, everybody comes into your life as a blessing, and everybody comes into your life as a lesson. How many of you know that you need the blessings to appreciate the lessons? And you need the lessons to appreciate the blessings. We've been through a lot of lessons last year. And if it wasn't for those lessons, the blessings we had in 2020, we wouldn't be able to appreciate them as much as we did if we didn't have those lessons. Am I right? How many of you know went through something in 2020 besides the obvious big deal in 2020, and you took away something positive from it? You had something that you struggled with or whatever, but how many of you know if you go through that struggle again, you're going to have a whole different perspective on how to deal with it? Loving your blessings and loving your lessons. And how many of you, when you were young, you hated school? How many of you liked school? I love y'all that like school because I couldn't stand it. But here's what I learned. My dad always told me, Blake, it's not I always told my dad, I said, Dad, I don't want to do school because it drives me nuts. I can't do it. I don't like it. And my dad said, Blake, it's not about what you're learning in school. School teaches you how to learn. School is teaching you how to learn. And the more I understood that, the more I appreciated school. Appreciate the things that drives you nuts. Like, I hate working out. Absolutely despise it. And a lot of you are thinking, you should love it. And well, I don't. I want to throw it out back and do some stuff to it, if you know what I'm talking about. But this morning, I woke up early and went and worked out. I was so proud of myself. I came back to the house and my mom's like, did you get your workout in? I was like, oh, I've already walked, did a walk run. I got my bike in. I lifted weights. And she's like, you did? I was like, I know, I'm shocked too. But how do you know if it wasn't for the lessons of me hating working out, I wouldn't appreciate me accomplishing me actually doing it? Appreciating. And my mom's encouraging me, saying, hey, go do this. Now, she is eating me, making me eat grass and, as my dad says, run 5 miles a day. But I'd rather go over to, McDonald's, as my dad says, and Chipotle and all these great places that you can go get all the junk food. It's awesome. I love junk food. My dad said the greatest day in his life was when they put food in gas stations. It's awesome. The problem is I can't eat any of it. Too many food allergies. It's fun. Gotta love food allergies. But I love this quote. People spend too much time wishing they had what they lost instead of being grateful for what they were given. Guys, that's bigger than you're letting me know. I'm going to say that again. People spend too much time wishing they had what they had lost, but instead of being grateful for what they were given. How many of you know that 2020 took a lot of stuff from us? But at the same time, it gave us a whole new perspective on life. It gave us a whole new outlook, a whole new everything. And going into 2021, how many of you know that you appreciate your life so much more? I appreciate being able to go see my friends whenever I want. I appreciate going out to grocery stores and Walmart and wherever you like going. Guys, how many of you know as soon as your freedom gets taken away, you appreciate everything so much more when you get to do it? Guys, I was appreciative just being able to get in my car and drive on I-4 for the first time. How many of you know that's a big deal? Being able to get out and just drive. I used to go sit in the car when we couldn't, when they were like, you can't go out. I used to just go sit in my car and turn it on and just sit there. I'd be like, I'm going to drive this thing, you know where. But how many of you know that driving is so important? It's getting you places. It's going to the next place that encourages you. And finally, I'm going to end with this. And this one, I believe, out of all these, is probably the biggest one I'm going to tell you all today. The R in year is this year, this is more of an encouragement than it is a statement. I want you all to renew yourself. Renew yourself. How many of you know I have so many people and so many friends that just run themselves into the ground. And they don't take time to sit, and this quote's probably not the greatest, but sit back and smell the roses. You know how that is? But here's the thing, is people take that quote too far. They sit back and smell the roses for too long. But here's what I've encouraged you. Everybody's got a different perspective on how to renew. My family, we have a little electric golf cart, and for us, it's just sitting on that golf cart and driving around our neighborhood. It just fills us up. For me, it's sometimes coming down here and just go shooting and unload a full magazine. And I'm like, whew, that felt good. Okay, good. I'm good. Let's go do something. But how many of you know everybody's renewing is different? Not too long ago, I got to go to Disney with a couple of friends. And that just filled me back up. I love Disney. I'm 24 years old. No, I know I don't look like it. I know I look like I'm 16, and that's awesome. You can compliment me later about that. But going to Disney, I always tell my family, I said, going to Disney is one of the greatest things that I get to do in my life, because even at 24 years old, I feel my inner 4-year-old come back out every time I walk down Main Street. And the power, I want to tell you, the power of an imagination is amazing. Renewing. So I'm going to give you the points one more time, and I'm going to bring my amazing father up here. I'm so honored to be up here today. This place is special. This place is special, and I'm so excited. We're streaming this all around the world. The other day with church, we had people texting us saying, "Hey, we're in Paris, France. We're watching. We're in Canada. We're in Mexico. We're in Honduras. We're in Australia." How many know we're the smallest, biggest church there is? I love that. We say that all the time, and it's so much fun. I love that. I'm so excited. being renewed. That was fun. So I'm going to give you the points one more time really quick, and we're going to have some fun with my dad coming up. You all better, but Mom says buckle your seatbelts and put the emergency brake on and hang on. It's going to be fun. So the Y in year stands for be you. Be you. The E stands for be an encourager. I love being encouraged. It's fun. Makes you feel good. The A is appreciate. Appreciate the encouragement. Appreciate being you. You're going to say, what do you mean? How do I appreciate being myself? Guys, every day I get up, I look myself in the mirror and go, man, you're amazing. You're awesome. You're beautiful. A lot of people say, why do you tell yourself you're beautiful? Well, somebody's got to tell me. And I ain't got a girlfriend, I ain't married yet, so at least I made her do it, huh? And a lot of people say, you're too confident, you're arrogant. I said, no, I just know who I am. I just know who I am. And I love knowing who I am because it throws people off when I say it. If we walk through a public place and we'll be joking with my friends, and I'm like, man, I'm gorgeous. And they're all like, people walking by like, man, that guy's weird. No, I'm just happy with who I am. I'm just happy. Finally, the R is renew. Renew. Guys, if you haven't done it in a while, tell your wife and family how much you love them. If you don't have a wife, you're not married, tell your girlfriend or tell your family. Call your family today. Tell them how much you love them. Because here's what I know, guys. Even if you're not on good terms with your family, if you tell them you love them, at least that's an encouragement to them to know somebody cares about me at least. Because here's the biggest thing that I found in life is people, when they are having bad relationships, they cut the people off. In my opinion, now don't get me wrong, there's some people you got to cut off. But there's other people that you need to stay connected with and just encourage them. Encourage them. Love on them. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the man himself, the reason I'm here, physically and actually talking up here. A lot of you will catch that joke later. I love jokes. Jokes are fun because sometimes they go over people's heads and they call me later and they go, I get it. And I'm like, which one? they're like, that one. I'm like, oh, that's a funny one. Yeah, I like that one. So without further ado, please help my amazing father, Mr. Tim Goad.
Thank you. Great job, Tiger. Yeah, man. Let's hear it for Blake Goad. Can we do that? Yeah, man. So I brought 3 notebooks today, so I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Game on, battle ready. Is that right? I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to G5 Leadership. Leadership has been a passion of my life since I was a little boy. The greatest leader that I ever had in my life in the form of a human was my father. And I got to watch him, and I used to watch him shave. And then I would go get the blade and try it out on me, and that's when I got the nickname Scarface. It was a beautiful thing, you know. If you've ever tried to shave for the first time, it's a beautiful moment in your life, you know. But I loved watching him in life, not only in his work, but I loved watching him in the home. And I truly believe that the greatest leadership you will ever have in your life is with those closest to you. And we are this year launching a lot of things to help leaders do that all over the globe. Leadership blows me away. I don't believe anything happens without a leader. A leader, by their very presence, when they step in a room, when they step in an environment, they change the atmosphere. The expectation changes, the anticipation changes, the heart changes, a tone is set. And today I want to speak with you just real short, maybe longer than I think, but on what emerging leaders expect from their leaders and what leaders expect from the leaders that they're leading. So I want you to right now put yourself in a different setting in your mind. I want you to take yourself out of where you are, and instead of thinking about, I want to get something accomplished in my life that I have to do, I want you to put it in the context of I have to get something done by encouraging, empowering, equipping, edifying, enlarging other people. If you are the only person in your life that's going to produce, how many of you know you're probably going to have a full-time job for the rest of your life? Now, I'm not against full-time jobs. I love work. Matter of fact, I have a series on 4 lessons of just the power of work Next time you're in a bathroom where everybody's writing 4-letter dirty words, just write a 4-letter dirty word called work. Because work separates everybody. And what it does in you is beyond human comprehension. It will develop you. It will shape you. It will help you. That's why one of the greatest things that I believe a parent will ever teach their child is work ethic. Work ethic. And it's not see how much, well, can I just say it this way? It's not seeing how little I can do to see how much I can get. There's a mentality right now that says, well, you first give to me and then I'll give back. But I believe there's a better mindset than that says, let me give. And because what I give produces so much value that you're going to want to pay me way more than I would have asked you for. You're probably going to have to rewind and listen to that because it's such a mind shift. So I love studying leaders. I love studying leaders in business. I love studying leaders in politics. I love studying leaders in church. And my whole life has been around church growth and missions. I've had the privilege to coach and mentor about 2,500 pastors around the world, and I love that. I love pouring into their lives. I think that's way cool. A lot of business leaders that are really impacting the earth in a big way. So I don't want you to see today and take this lesson from your chair, from your world. Are you okay with that? I want you to start thinking about if I had to run $1 billion company, what would I be thinking about? What would I be looking for? How could I be out in front of everyone around me? Now, see, here's what I know. Every one of us listening to me right now, me included, are equipped and empowered and have so much more in us than that we're giving. We just don't see the potential. I probably, for the next 2 lessons, we'll see, I'm going to talk about preparation because I just know that preparing is so important for the plan that you're about to write in your life. And normally when success happens, it's when opportunity and preparedness meets. And all of you right now are being prepared for something, and I feel like part of my role is to start equipping you now. And so I want you to know this. There's only 2 things you can give people in life. You can give them an opportunity and you can give them an example. Example is everything. It's not the main thing. It's everything. So it's why you and I in our life get to study leaders and listen to leaders. I don't know how many of you know who Jack Welch is. I think he was a great leader. I don't think he was a perfect man. But I want to give you these things that Jack Welch said, and then I want to talk to you about what I believe that we can do in the remaining time that I have. Are you ready? He says, Jack Welch, control your destiny or someone else will. One of the things as a leader that you've got to realize is right now is most people feel like they're a victim. They don't understand they're a victor. They don't understand that you in your life right now possess everything you need in front of you. You just don't know how to access it yet. I don't either. It's all right in front of you. You can't see it. How many of you know you see what you're looking for? And you normally see what's happened to you in the past, and then you compare it to your future, and it robs you of the present, which keeps you from stepping into the destiny and the future that you were created for. Control your destiny. See, you don't understand this, but you were wired in your making to create the future. You were wired. You were created in the likeness and the image of the Almighty. And he's giving you this, not as an arrogant thing, but actually as a responsibility. That's why I want to beg you today, don't live a small life. Don't dream small dreams. Don't believe for small things. Step out. Let it be bigger than you can imagine, and stop telling yourself, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm not educated enough, I'm not of the right pedigree. Don't stop it. Success does not measure any of that. It's like when I play golf sometimes, I get a 4, and it's awful how I got a 4. But how I got the 4 doesn't show up on the card. It just shows up I got a 4. Today, will you stop reminding everybody of the mess you created while you got a 4? You got a 4. Most people don't get 4s. Be grateful that you took advantage of what you have and who you are and whose you are. And what's going to separate you from everyone else in this world is how you see the future. Control your destiny. Your mind is equipped by your maker to move in the dominant picture that's in your mind. Right now. It doesn't discriminate on sex. It doesn't discriminate on age. It doesn't discriminate on college education. It doesn't look for any of that. What it looks for is a heart and an attitude and a mindset that says, you know what? This is where I want to go. This is what I want to be. This is how I want to live. Now, I'm giving you so much, you're going to have to go back. And I'm going to encourage you to get the app and start doing this, because as a leader, in order for you and I to be better, I have to get better. And the way I get better is I change what I believe. And when I change what I believe, it changes what I think. You can be in somebody's presence for 5 minutes and know exactly what they're thinking. You can see it in their body language. You can see, woe is me. Do you know what I'm talking about? You can see, I don't know if I trust you or not. You can see hunger. You can see anticipation. You can see excitement. By the way, leaders, if you're going to lead people, you've got to first know where they are. Because if you start giving information that they're not ready or prepared to receive, you're talking to yourself. So slow down to speed up. And I want to tell you, we could spend 1 hour on this subject. Do you know your blind spot? Do you know your blind spot? Do you know in your leadership, when you walk in a room, you either make people feel glad to see you or like, what are they thinking? I used to have 500 employees, and I would watch people come into work, and they would be so work focused that they would walk past people that said good morning to them. And I would get up from my chair and walk down the hallway and go, what are you doing? They say, I'm working. I said, no, you just walk past the work. I want you to go back down the hallway and say hi to everybody you walk past, because you think what you're doing is more important than people. Don't ever believe it. People never remember what you say, but they do remember how you made them feel. And there's nothing worse, leaders. Remember, you're running $1 billion company now. You're not just trying to make a few $1,000s a month. You're running $1 billion company. Can I tell you something? People very rarely remember what you say, but they do remember how you made them feel. How you walk, how you get out of your car, how you stand up. How many of you know you do not have to act the way you feel? You ever get around somebody? Oh. I'm like, I laugh about this because people go to my wife and they go, oh, I've had the most horrible headache. And I hate headaches. But they don't understand, for the last 20-some years of my life, with my wife, she's had a headache every day. And she's never used it as an excuse not to get up. Why? You either control your destiny or some situation in your life will. I can't wait to share with you tonight. Your destiny. The second thing is face reality as it is, not as you want it to be. Face reality as it is, not as you want it to be. Can I tell you, great leaders just have the ability to paint a picture, even in the face of a storm, that sometimes people look at you and go, well, you know what? You're just a little too Pollyanna. Faith is not afraid of a struggle. Faith is not afraid of the truth. Faith is not afraid of the moment that you're standing in right now to step up and step out. But we learn these little skills, how to hide and bury and push aside instead of face it. Leaders, please hear me right now. You will lose every ounce of moral authority you have with people if you cannot say, this is tough, but this is the moment that leaders are made. Validate it, but move. I know what it is, but let me tell you what we're going to do. What happens right now in your life, if not just you, but you have 10 people working with you, that you get to thinking like this, that they're going, you know what? I'll face reality. I understand the odds. I understand that this right now is impossible. And I'm always amazed at people that want to come along in your life and tell you how to deal with your odds, but they won't deal with their own. Well, let me tell you, brother. They got a spiritual answer for everything. You get around them. Oh, let me tell you. I'm like, bro, if you're going to come over here and preach it, you better show me you can live it. Because leaders are not afraid of reality. Matter of fact, a leader, do you know what they do? They understand that the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. Reality is who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. Anybody in the room in that spot? See, here's what I know. You're listening today all over the globe. You're here. And here's what I know. You were put in front of me because there is something that God is trying to do through you and around you that right now, in order for you to receive it, you got to grow. You can't think the way you used to think. You can't behave the way you used to. I don't like this stuff. I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to teach it, but it's the truth because it's reality. I got to change what you think. If you think you're damaged goods, you will act like damaged goods. If you think you're unworthy, then you'll be unworthy. If you think that everybody is against you, then you will never trust anybody. You know what I'm saying is true. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What future are you going to create? How many lives are going to be changed because you break down the barriers that are holding you back right now? What new records are about to be broken? What new opportunities are going to come your way, but you can't see it because you don't feel like you're worthy of it? I know you're hearing me. The third thing is be candid with everyone. Have an open heart. Be loving. In life, you're going to have a chance to succeed. You're going to have a chance to do things that most people never have a chance to do. And you're going to have success that a lot of people will never even dream of having. And when they get in your presence, when they sense that there's a humility on you, wow. Humility. Humility is not something you pray for. Humility is something you decide. This is what I'm going to be. I'm going to walk in humility. But you know what happens? We get in this thing where we want to be right. Do you know what I'm talking about? If the world would just listen to me. But you don't learn through being right. You learn through your mistakes. Around at G5, when you come here, and I'm so excited, and we're growing, and buildings are coming, and it's going to be so much fun. And by the way, so many people are so worried about being right. No, I want to get it done. So I've told my kids over and over again, you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. Some of the most paralyzing mistakes are this. I don't want to waste money. I don't want to waste money either. But sometimes you've got to make a mistake financially to understand I'm not going that path again. That didn't work. Anybody besides me invest in the wrong thing? Anybody besides me ever, come on, invest in the wrong person? Come on. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anybody ever say, well, if I buy this, then I'm going to feel better. And then you bought it and you felt better for about a half hour. And then all of a sudden you're like, why did I buy that? I shouldn't have bought that. And maybe I should take it back. Do you know what I'm talking about? Number 4, don't manage a lead. Don't manage lead. Oh, my goodness, I could spend an hour here. Don't manage lead. Some of us are so busy micromanaging people that we're not leading. Get out in front of it. Shout, this is the way. Scream with your actions, not with your words. And stop micromanaging people. Can I tell you something about a leader? I love this about my daughter. I love her. She's wired a lot like, she gets all of her bad stuff from me and all of her great stuff from her mother. But every now and then I'll give her something and then I want to swoop in and start micromanaging it. Anybody ever do this? And she's back there. She's going, you know. And she'll kind of give me that look, very respectful. She's always so respectful. Three words are big in our culture here. Honor, authority, and order. Honor, authority, and order. But can I tell you, she'll give me that look like, Daddy, you gave it to me. Now let me do it. Can I tell you something about a leader? That's what they say. You gave it to me. Now let me do it. Well, people, very rarely will they do it the way you do it. No. And some of us are so focused on right that we don't get anything done. Because getting something done can be messy. Can I get some kind of a, yeah, that's right. It can be messy. We decided, because my wife had a dream, to kind of reorganize and redo and remodel our kitchen. And so she came in and said, well, we'll just paint this and this. And she made it sound so easy. Do you know what I'm talking about? And 4 months later, dust everywhere. We finally got it done. Now, isn't that true with life? So in your life, don't manage, lead. Are you ready for number 5? Change before you have to. Change before you have to. You know that statement that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Don't believe that. We're continually asking ourselves, what can we do to make it better? Matter of fact, right now with my family, in our own little family meetings, we're like, okay, 2020 was awesome, but here's what we're going to do in 2021. And I'm a big guy because I'm very visual, so I love writing things out and putting things on charts so I can see them and look at them and look at the future. And so I'm like going, okay, how can we make it better? One day in Chick-fil-A, they were so scared because Boston Market was coming on really, really strong. And for 1 hour, Truett Cathy, who founded and started Chick-fil-A, listened to his top executives start screaming about they got to get bigger. They've got to get bigger. We've got to get bigger. These guys are outgrowing us. We got to get bigger. We got to get bigger. And finally, Truett weighed in and said, guys, why don't we get better? If we get better, we'll get bigger. So can I ask you a question? Right now, what are the 5 things that you could do if you would become a student that you could get better? How can you get better at the things that matter most in your life? It's not a weakness. I just got off of a phone with a friend that'll be here next week, and he runs a company and is growing like crazy. And guess what he did 2 years ago? He hired a coach that would just watch over his business practices, and he has an hour call every week with him. Do you care enough about your future that you would invest in it? Or are you above a coach? Or are you above saying, I'm going to take a few dollars and invest to get better? Invest. I invest every week, just so you know, in getting better. I'm looking for new opportunities right now to take my children and my wife so that we can get integrated in other cultures, the cultures where we're headed. How many of you know if you don't prepare for it, when the moment happens, you won't be able to manage and lead it? Are you with me? Are you ready for a $100,000 week? Are you ready for $1 million week? Are you ready for $1 billion year? Are you ready mentally and emotionally? Are you willing to take the changes that you need to take? And maybe how I deal with people, how I talk to people, how I lead at home. Are you willing to do it? Or am I just like, well, if it is to be, it'll happen. And plus I know, and the rest of the world, if they would just listen to me, it would get better. Can I talk to you? You run a $1 billion company. Can I talk to you? Be careful of the person that shows up with all the answers. Beware. Because nobody has all the answers. Some people scare me. They scare me how confident they are in what they know. I'm like, woo! You don't know. Now, should you be confident in who you are and what you believe? Yes. That's why the Bible is so critical, because it's the only unchanging thing. But can I tell you, life is changing. The world is changing. I don't have to tell you, you're living in it right now. But in the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days, How is it going to be different? Number 6, are you ready? If you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete. If you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete. Let me tell you a question we're continually asking ourselves around here, and that is, what is our uniqueness? What is our uniqueness? In my world, I've told pastors for years, just because you can preach good and you got good singing doesn't mean you're ever going to draw a crowd. What is your uniqueness? In your business, just because you have talent, just because you have a football team that's talented and you got money, doesn't mean you're going to win. Because you have to create an environment where people begin to develop a heart and an attitude and a hunger and a drive. So how in the world do you and I do this? Will you give me 10 more minutes and I'm going to give you 2 things and then we'll check out on this and you can come in later. I'll probably charge you for the rest of the lesson. Is that all right? So when I start looking at leaders, how do I know what to expect out of them? What do I want to see in them? What do I start looking in your children's children for? Because when I speak to anybody, I love you and you mean a lot to me, but what I really want to talk to is your children's children. That's why I love it Elevate when I see parents bring their adult children, when they bring their teenagers into the room. And some 9 and 10-year-olds can sit in the room and know how to take notes. And they're already becoming students. And they're going to change the world. So what do leaders expect from emerging leaders? What do leaders expect from people that get on their team? And also, what do expectant leaders that are really kind of growing and getting, what do they expect from you? How many of you know, if you know that, that's an unfair advantage? Because most people are still trying to figure out what people want. What do you want? So I just want to tell you this, leaders. If you want to frustrate people around you, expect them to do something you never trained them for. Can I tell you one of the biggest lies? My wife and I write a lot of books on marriage and family. Can I tell you one of the biggest lies in relationships? Is that if they love me, they would know what I need. Anybody ever get caught in that one? Go ahead. So when you expect from people but never train them, equip them, empower them, talk to them, it produces all kinds of frustration inside of them. If you also expect, but when they reach it and you don't compliment, you don't notice, you don't have a thankful spirit, you will frustrate people and they won't move. That's why try to catch people doing as much right as you possibly can. So, every leader expects this from an emerging leader. Are you ready? Number 1, they expect that somebody around them is hungry to grow. Hungry to grow. You today are here because you're hungry to grow. There's something in you that's saying, you know what? I need to learn something. I love learning because you know what learning is? A lot of learning is unlearning. A lot of learning is unlearning what I was taught that didn't work that I thought it would. My wife yesterday was on a phone with a leader, and the whole time she was going, well, my daddy taught me this, and I realize now that what I'm doing is I need to have to unlearn what he taught me. Can I tell you something? As a leader, don't start training people on yesterday's mentality. Train them for the future. Train them so they'll be ready. They'll be out in front of it. Are you with me? So critical. By the way, if you have questions, please feel free to write them down and we'll talk about them here in a minute. I have a question for you. I have a question for me. Am I mentorable? Am I mentorable? And I got to tell you, if you have a caloric mindset and you're a profuse reader and you've done a lot in your life, you have to be really careful. because you can miss some of the most greatest wisdom you've ever had in your life because you can't listen. I do my best to listen to everybody. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I listen. I listen because they're giving me their perspective. They're giving me what they've studied for. They've given me what they've experienced. There's value in what they're saying to me. And I want to hear them. And sometimes I'll even ask questions that I already know the answer to, not to be arrogant, just because I want to check me. I love doing this even in my own life. So if you'll find me, I'll talk to you about leading in business. I'll talk to you about leading in this world. And then I'll talk to you about leading at home, because here's what I believe. I believe if we become better leaders at home, we'll become better leaders everywhere else we lead. I just believe it. I think the hardest leadership in our entire lives are within our families. I just believe it. So, am I teachable? Am I mentorable? I'm looking around and say, are they asking questions at all? This is important for you. Are they asking questions at all? And are they asking the right questions? When you ask questions, can I tell you, it tells me what you've been reading, what you've been thinking, what you've been studying, what you've been experiencing. Are you with me? It's one of the greatest ways you can let somebody know I care about you. If you want to increase somebody's self-esteem, ask them a question. If you don't believe it's true, go out here today and just go down the road and ask somebody, can you tell me where I-4 is? And you'll be amazed. They will fire up. Oh, yeah, man, you go down here and you go over there. And, it's amazing. And they feel like, man, I did something. I think it's a role in a leader's life to let people know they did something. You added value to me. You made a difference in my life. So I just want to encourage you right now, because leaders, hear me, you're running a $1 billion company. It's hard to lead into greatness if people are not hungry to grow. And if they're unwilling to leave where they are, you can't get them where they need to be. And so what happens is, in life, leadership is not really a bunch of principles. It's actually more like art. It's more like a painting, where at a moment you have to take the brush and you have to stroke it and get people to the next level. This week, I've helped more leaders lead into 2021 than you can imagine by just saying to them, you have to take a moment and listen. Because until I can find out, are you hungry to grow, or do you want to stay where you are? Are you frozen by fear? Are you frozen by what you know? Are you frozen by yesterday? Are you frozen by thinking this is what I want? Or are you going, how can I make it better? Everyone on the team has a job, and that job is whatever we do, let's make it better. Let's make it better. The second thing I want to know is are you a finisher? Do you know how cheap starters are? Everybody can get started. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, yeah, I'll do it. I'll be there. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you today on this leadership journey with me. I'm going to go bold today, okay? I'm going to ask you, will you give me 1 year of your life? Why? Because we can't make a major change in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, where you are, without a year. At church, I ask people, will you give me a year? Will you let me walk with you for a year? I have people, they believe that in one moment we're going to change everything in your life. And everything in your life can change in one moment. But I promise you, to really grow and blossom, you won't do it in one moment. It will be continually growing and stepping and reaching. Are you a finisher? Do you get it done? What would you give? Come on, you own a $1 billion company. What would you give for 20 more people that just get it done? They see it. They're not waiting for somebody else to do it. They're stepping up and going, tell me what it needs to get it done. How can I make it better? I've been thinking about here. You know what? What can we do to make it better? How can we get the parking lot better? How can we get the lighting better? How can we get the sound better? How can we get the production better? How can we get our welcoming better? How can we, better, better, better. We want to be better. We've got to be crazy about getting better, hungry to get better. So when we walk through, what happens? What happens when you walk through? If you look down and on the ground is lit up, G5. Can I tell you, we're going to be talking about our team here. When you come here, we're not only going to give you a moment where we hug you and love on you and treat you like a king and a queen. You know what else we're going to do? We want to give you an experience that when you feel it, it embraces you. When you walk on this property, you're going to feel something different. For the Spirit of the Lord is upon us, but He's also given us the ability to put a light up and say, G5. I just want to tell you, you're running a $1 billion company. Watch out for people that show up at the last minute and go, oh, I'm here. Or, do you know I got a gift? I got a gift, and if you'll just put me up there, I'm going like, yeah, maybe you ought to start like the rest of us. We all began cleaning the toilets, and then we ended up over here. Do you know what I'm talking about? So, are you a finisher? Can you stay on task? Is there discipline? There's not a parent listening to me right now that does not pray this for your children. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? I'm going to give you one more, and then I'll take some questions for a second. The third thing is servant leadership. There's such a difference between leadership and servant leadership. There's such a difference between getting something done and getting something done right. So the question is how can I serve? How can I help serve? I tell people around here all the time, and maybe in your company it would be good too, if somebody's serving, just join them and serve them. Well, I haven't got a spot yet. Yeah, you do. There's somebody serving. Just find them and go, hey, how can I help you? Can I carry that for you? Can I get that for you? What can I do for you? What can I do to make your life better? And by the way, leaders, if you're the CEO, if you're the leader, if you're the one leading, can I tell you, you ought to be finding out how I can lead the people around me and serve them better. Are you with me? One day a guy pulled up and got out of his fancy car, and the guy that took care of his car kept it gassed up and washed and everything. Guy walked over to him and said, what does it feel like to work for the boss? To which he said, he works for me. He said, because he goes to work, I get to do what I do. Who are you? Who am I? Am I a servant leader? Can I really let people see that I understand what servant leadership looks like? What's going to happen in your company? What's going to happen in your home? We have a fight in our home. A fight in our home every day. You know what that fight is? How can we outserve each other? Not you took my stuff. But how can I serve you? I want to tell you, I'm so grateful today. My son came to me and said, Dad, what do you need from me? And I was able to go through a list, and they take it. My daughter came to me today and said, Daddy, what do you need me? I gave her a list, and she took it. And she also made me lunch because my wife was at a lunch meeting. Well, can I get my own lunch? Sure, I can. But how cool is it to have a 21-year-old daughter saying, Daddy, how can I serve you? Not, Daddy, what did you get me? You see, I don't want to raise weak leaders. I don't want to raise incompetent, impotent leaders. I want to raise leaders that are full of grace and power. Watch leaders, I'm telling you right now, they're hanging out in your company right now. They are looking what they can take, not what they can give. You're one more notch on their belt to their next big future. Be careful when you love somebody and care about them, but they don't love you back. Maybe it's why our divorce rate is at 70%. Because I show up and suit up to try to say, what can I get? What can I help you do? What can I take off your plate? What are you going to do, leaders? If you raise a bunch of people that are continually measuring you, are you with me? Stay with me right now because I'm about to come to close. They're continually critiquing you and trying to find you messing up so they can point out how wrong you are. How many of y'all want to raise a company full of those people? How many of y'all want to raise a home like that? I don't think so. How about if we raise people that go, I got your back? Can I tell you, I love studying space, and the space shuttle just fires me up. And one day I was reading that in the space shuttle, when they take off, they go all through all these drills. But when they take off, if one of their mates, if one of their coworkers misses a discipline to flip a switch or do something, there is no judgment. The next person just reaches up and does it and goes on. What happens in your company? What happens in your family? What happens on our team? If I stop trying to catch you doing something wrong so I can prove how right I am? What happens if I start creating an environment where we just reach up and take the switch? I got you. I got you. Can I tell you something? This is going to disappoint some of us, probably all of us. It's not going to be perfect. You can organize something that's not growing. Are you with me? But something that's growing, you're trying to grab everything you can. And you're trying to stay ahead of it. I have guys that build companies and organizations. One guy, we were expecting 800 people to function and 1,500 show up. How many of you know no matter how hard you try to organize, you can't organize that? What do? I'm glad you asked. You have the attitude that says, how can I make it better? And how can I take the load off the people around me so that we can grow? Can I tell you the blessing of my life? When you come back and you look in our inner circle, there's a bunch of people that are continually walking in and going, how can I take that off your plate? What can I do for you? Can I ask you a question? Do you have 10 people in your life right now doing that with you? And are you doing it for 10 people? There's a secret in it. There's a power in it. It releases in you. So, here's what I want to know in servant leadership. How well do the people that are on your team understand the vision? How well do they understand it? How aware are they? When is the right time for you to share the vision? These are big questions, right? So it's why I think I want to take a couple of these moments in these meetings and just talk about preparedness. Preparedness. The future's coming at us. So we can prepare for some things, like right now, we're preparing, we're already thinking, we're putting all of our assets, doing what we've got to do. Can I tell you, we're already thinking we're going to have to do a double service because I want to build this 2,000-seat building. And can I tell you, I'm so excited about that. And we're going to have, it's going to be crazy. I can't wait for you to see the lights and the sound and the video and the screens. And we're going to fly people. It's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be like, you got to get out to G5. It's crazy, right? But right now, we got to take what we have, use it with everything we have inside of it. You know what I'm talking about? Leveraging it, okay? And do all we can. And then God's going to bless us. Are you with me? So in your life right now, what is it for you? What is it that around you right now? What is your next 30-day run? What do you have to get done? What do you have to get done? What are you being prepared for right now so that you can get it done? Are you dreaming big enough? Is your vision big enough? Are you thinking differently? What are you doing? In leadership, leaders are looking for people that they can pour into. And I want to tell you this, you don't have to be 30-year-old to be a leader. You can be a leader when you're 12. And you can be a leader when you're 6. You can even be a leader when you're 3. And you can be a leader when you're 90. Age has got nothing to do with it. What it does have to do with is attitude, heart, vision, compassion, readiness, servant leadership. Am I willing to be a finisher? And am I hungry to grow? I love you, Charge. Boom. All right. You okay? Hopefully that wasn't too painful.